There are cases that shake a community. And then there are cases that fundamentally change the way a community sees itself. Cases that crack open the comfortable idea that terrible things only happen somewhere else, to someone else in some other town that isn't yours. Springfield, Missouri was that kind of town, quiet, Midwestern, the kind of place where people left their doors unlocked and let their kids play outside until the street lights came on. A college town with Friday night football games and Sunday morning church services and neighbors who knew each other's names. Springfield was safe. Springfield was home. Springfield was the kind of place where nothing like this was supposed to happen. On the night of June 6, 1992, 3 women disappeared from a house on Delmer Street. No struggle, no blood, no forced entry, no witnesses, no goodbye. They were there, and then they were simply not there anymore. And in the 30 years since that night, not a single credible answer has ever emerged about what happened to them or where they went. This is the story of Cheryl Levitt, Susie Streeter, and Stacy McFall, and it is one of the most baffling missing persons cases in American history. Cheryl Levitt was 47 years old in the summer of 1992. She was a hairdresser, a mother, and by all accounts a warm and grounded woman who had built a comfortable life for herself and her daughter in Springfield. She had a sense of humor. She had friends who loved her. She had a daughter named Susie, who was her whole world. Susie Streeter was 19. She had just finished her freshman year and was living at home with her mother for the summer. The way young people do when college lets out and the summer stretches out ahead of them like something full of possibility. Susie was vibrant and social, the kind of young woman who filled a room just by walking into it. She had her whole life in front of her. Stacy McFall was also 19, Susie's best friend since childhood. She had spent the night at the Levitt house on Delmer Street that evening, the way best friends do, no particular reason, just the natural rhythm of 2 young women who were inseparable. Stacy had a fiancé. She was engaged to be married. She had plans. She had a future she was actively building toward. 3 women. A mother and her daughter's best friend. A normal summer night in a quiet Missouri neighborhood. Nothing about that evening suggested that anything was wrong. The last confirmed sighting of all 3 women was at approximately 2 in the morning on June 7th. They had been out that evening. Susie and Stacy had attended a graduation party, the kind of loud, celebratory night that marks the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. Cheryl had been home. When the girls came back, a neighbor reported seeing lights on in the house. Everything looked normal. Everything looked fine. By morning, they were gone. Stacy's fiancé came to the house that day to pick her up. He knocked. Nobody answered. He tried the door. It was unlocked. He walked inside and found the house empty. Not ransacked. Not destroyed. Just empty, in the way a house feels empty when the people who live in it have simply stepped out. Except they hadn't stepped out. Their cars were still in the driveway. Their purses were still inside. Susie's dog was still there, alone and confused in the way animals get when something has happened that they cannot explain but can absolutely feel. Everything that belonged to those 3 women was still in that house. Everything except the 3 women themselves. there was one strange detail that Stacy's fiancé noticed right away. The porch light fixture, a glass globe light that hung at the front of the house, was broken, shattered. The pieces had been swept up and placed neatly in a pile on the porch, as if someone had cleaned up after themselves. It was such a small, specific detail, too deliberate to be accidental, too neat to be a random act of vandalism. Someone had broken that light, and then someone had tidied up the broken pieces before leaving. Why? Nobody has ever been able to answer that. When police arrived and the investigation began, the early signs pointed toward something deeply disturbing. There was no sign of forced entry anywhere in the house, which meant either the door had been unlocked or the women had opened it themselves. There was no sign of a struggle inside, which meant that whatever happened, it happened fast, or it happened in a way that gave the women no opportunity to fight back. There was no blood. There were no defensive wounds left behind, no overturned furniture, no broken dishes, no evidence of a chase or a confrontation. 3 women had simply ceased to exist. Between the hours of 2 a.m. and morning, the investigation drew enormous attention. Tips poured in from across the country. The FBI got involved. Psychics called in with visions. Local volunteers organized searches of the surrounding area. The community rallied in the way communities do when something terrible happens, and people need to feel like they are doing something. Anything to help, but nothing came of it. Every lead dried up. Every tip went nowhere. Every search came back empty. Investigators developed theories. The most widely held theory was that someone the women knew, or at least someone they felt comfortable enough to open the door for, had been responsible. The absence of forced entry suggested an element of trust, or at least familiarity. Someone had knocked on that door in the middle of the night, and one of those 3 women had opened it. The question was who. A man named Robert Craig Cox became a person of interest early in the investigation. Cox was a convicted criminal with a violent history, and in a conversation with a former acquaintance, he reportedly said that the Springfield 3 were dead and would never be found. He has never been charged. He has never been formally named as a suspect. He has consistently denied any involvement. But those words, "they're dead and they'll never be found," have haunted this case ever since. Other names surfaced over the years. Other theories were proposed. A traveling predator passing through Springfield. Someone with a personal connection to one of the women. A crime of opportunity that escalated in ways the perpetrator hadn't planned. Every theory has its proponents. None of them have ever produced the one thing this case desperately needs: physical evidence. What makes the Springfield 3 case particularly devastating is not just the absence of answers. It is the absence of remains. Because without remains, without a body, without a crime scene, investigators have almost nothing to work with. You cannot prosecute a murder without a body. You cannot close a case without evidence. And you cannot grieve, truly, fully grieve, without something to bury. Stacy McFall's family has spent 30 years in that particular kind of hell. Her fiancé, the man who walked into that house and found it empty, has never fully recovered. He has spoken publicly about what that morning did to him, walking in expecting to see the woman he loved, and finding nothing but silence and a dog that didn't understand where everyone had gone. Susie, Streeter's friends, have grown up, had children of their own, built entire lives in the decades since that summer night, all while carrying the weight of not knowing what happened to their friend. Cheryl Levitt's family has advocated tirelessly for the case to stay open, for new investigators to take another look, for the tips to keep coming in, because tips do still come in. Even now, 30 years later, people reach out with information. Most of it leads nowhere, but the families keep hoping, because hope is the only thing left when everything else has been taken. In 2992, Springfield changed. It had to. The case forced a reckoning with the idea of safety, with the comfortable assumption that violence is something that happens to other people in other places. 3 women disappeared from a locked neighborhood on a quiet summer night and were never found. If it could happen to them, it could happen to anyone. And that realization settled into Springfield like something permanent, like a stone dropped into still water, the ripples never quite fading away. The house on Delmer Street still stands. People drive past it. Some of them slow down. Some of them stop and stare at the porch where the broken glass was swept into a neat pile by someone who has never been identified. They stand there and they try to imagine what happened in those dark hours between 2 a.m. and morning. They never can. Nobody can. What we know is this. 3 women were alive on the night of June 6, 1992. A mother, a daughter, a best friend. They had cars and purses and a dog and plans and futures and every reason in the world to still be here. And then, between one breath and the next, they were gone. No struggle, no blood, no answers. Just 3 women and a broken porch light and 30 years of silence. Cheryl Levitt was 47 years old. Susie Streeter was 19. Stacy McFall was 19 and engaged to be married. They deserved better than this. They deserved answers. They deserved for someone to walk into a courtroom and face what they did. They deserved for their families to have something, anything, to hold on to. Instead, they have a cold file, a case number, a pile of tips that went nowhere, and a theory that has never been proven, and a house on Delmer Street that still stands exactly where it always did, holding whatever secrets it was left with on the night of June 6, 1992. We are not done asking what happened to them. We will never be done asking.